in pursuing our African dreams. Today's topic is called Unleash the Potential Within in 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Fritz.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy of life lies in having no goal to reach. It isn't a calamity to die without having reached or lived your dreams. But it is a calamity to have no dreams. It isn't a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. But it is a disgrace to not have had any stars at all to go for. These are the words of Benjamin Mays. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now on the verge of saying goodbye to 2011, moving on to 2012. Are you prepared to unleash your potential in 2012? That is the question. Are you prepared to make no excuses and come up with results? What is your career goals? You are looking at getting that promotion. What are you doing about it? In 2012, are you going to celebrate your life? Since you're going to have another year added to your life. Wow. That is the question. But what is potential? Potential is the power of success that hasn't been tapped into. It is that success that is waiting for you to tap into. Potential is also untapped power, as well as the dominant ability that hasn't been used. Potential, I believe, is strongly related to purpose. Because what happens is, when you determine what your purpose is, then and only then are you able to find and tap into your potential. Well, growing up back in Africa, as a young kid, raised by a single mother, Ngwenya, that's what we called my mother, after my last name, Ngwenya. Any woman, your last name, you can call her by that name, Ma Ngwenya, meaning Mama Ngwenya, basically. When she raised me, what I adored about her was the fact that when she grew up herself, back in the days, she was raised by illiterate parents. So in other words, she did not even know what her date of birth was or how old she was. They had to guesstimate. Because way back in early 1900s, there wasn't any way of figuring out the dates and clocks and time and all that kind of good stuff that we are blessed with nowadays. So as a result, when she was raised, she had 6 siblings. Her siblings used to look at her, her sisters and brothers. They would laugh at her and say she was slow, she was behind. Simply because she was just not hyped up onto the activities that they were into back in those days. But by herself, she always wished that there could be a place where she could learn how to read and write. This was back in the countryside, back in the rural areas in Africa. No electricity, no bathrooms, or any of the pleasures that we have nowadays. So she wished to have a place where she could learn how to read and write. Luckily enough, the local village priest organized for her to go to a boarding school called Regina Mund Missionary School. She went there and learned how to read and write. And she graduated years later on with her Standard 6 certificate. She moved into the city and went on to work at Mpilo Hospital, General Hospital, where she became a registered nurse. In essence, she became the breadwinner of the family. On her first salary, she drove back on the bus back to the countryside to her home. Her parents were glad to see her. Her siblings looked at her. There she was, Rhoda, walking with groceries in hand and all the nice stuff that you can think of when you get your first salary. Her parents were extremely happy. Her siblings looked at her. Wow, she has done well for herself. Her siblings were extremely excited. Rhoda Mangwenya had gone on to live her dream. She had dreamed of learning to read and write, and that's what she pursued. And she came back home and became the breadwinner of the family. She never made no excuses. She tapped into her potential and became a registered nurse. In that same hospital where she worked is the same hospital that I was born back in the 70s. I never even knew my father. I had not met him. When I was 15, it came to me. One day I was sitting there in the late afternoon when we were playing soccer underneath the tower light. The other kids left me standing there by the soccer pitch, and they were running to their fathers. Their fathers were coming back from work carrying brown bags and grocery bags. They would run to their fathers, hug them with warm hugs, and the fathers will give them the cookies, the nice stuff, the delicacies. And I envied those boys, wishing I too, if only I had a father, if only I had a man I could run to and hug and get the little toys that all of us boys, when we were at 15, would love to get. However, I did not want to make any excuses to be whatever I wanted to be in life. I wished to meet this man that I never met. So I met my own ways. Lucky enough, my neighbor, Ernest, he arranged for me to meet him one day in another district where he lived. I went and I met this father that for so long I'd wondered who he was, because my name Fritz, as you can see, and my full name is Kanyile Ka-Ngwenya, which is an English name, a name that I never really truly understood. How did this chocolate boy get to have an English name? What did it mean? When the man walked into Ernest's house to meet me for the first time, I was shivering. I didn't know what to think. There he walked in, chocolate, just like myself. And we sat there, we shook hands, and we exchanged words, and Ernest excused himself. And I wondered what questions to ask him or what to talk about. I was at a loss of words. For 5 minutes, you could really cut the tension with a knife. And finally, I started asking him, how did you get to be where you are? He told me he started off as a driver for the local government. And then from there, he started his own business. He had a local driving school. From there, he opened up his own grocery stores. I was, wow, extremely proud of the man that I never really knew. I wondered to myself, oh, this man is actually rich, he's wealthy. But I've been growing up playing soccer underneath the tower light with no shoes on my feet, with no soccer boots. And when he was leaving, he took out an envelope and gave it to me. And he left. And as he was leaving, I wondered when was the next time I'm going to see this man that I never knew, that I was supposed to call my father. Wow. Well, years later, I grew. When I was 21, I was out in the country volunteering as a substitute teacher, which is a temporary teacher. Well, at the time I was frenetic about being a teacher because I wanted to give back to the community, give back to the African neighborhood that had given me so much. While I was there in the country, I happened to catch malaria. Oh, wow. Malaria got the best of me. I was on the verge of dying when I was taken to Mpilo Hospital. When I got there, the nurses, they recognized me that this is Rhoda Mangwenya's son, because she was a nurse right there. They rehydrated me because I was extremely dehydrated. The nurse felt my temperature and said, wow, if you had waited any much longer, you could have been a statistic. Ladies and gentlemen, I could see my mother sitting right there next to me because they had run and called her. Her eyes were welling with tears. Death was around the corner. But they helped me, they rehydrated me, and they gave me energy. I say this to say that all those dreams that I had growing up were on the verge of disappearing. My ambitions, my hopes, my talents, my goals were about to go. But I lived to tell another day. I went on to get the opportunity to travel to the land of the free and the home of the brave, where I've gone on to create my own television show. But, ladies and gentlemen, the question is, in 2012, here we are facing this new year, another year. Are you excited about this new year? Are you going to unleash the potential in you so that even yourself, because the ideal situation is when you're about to die, is to have your family and friends praying for you, praying with you. But look, on the other hand, there may be the ghosts of your dreams, the ghosts of your abilities, the ghosts of your talents, of all the skills that you're given, and they're looking at you. They're looking at you with angry eyes because you're about to make that transition of death to another place 6 feet under. And they're looking at you with wild, angry eyes. They're like, my man Black, we gave you all these talents, all these abilities, all these skills, all these dreams. What did you do with them? Now we must die with you. Is that not a travesty? Is that not a calamity? Now in 2012, have you met your goals? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to get that promotion? Do you want to write that book? Because 2012 is another chapter of your life. Let's make it a point that in 2012 we will begin where we are with what we have. Just like what George Washington Carver said. More importantly, there's a man by the name of Zig Ziglar. You guys are aware of Zig Ziglar, right? He says, you were born to win. But to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and most importantly, you must expect to win. Come 2012, make no excuses. Live your life to your full potential. Unleash that potential in you. And make no excuses. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Mangwenya's baby boy, Fritz Kanyile Ka-Ngwenya, saying it's been a plumb pleasure and a privilege for you lending me your ears. Thank you so much.